Greetings and welcome to our weekly news roundup with Block TV. I am Fatou Drame. First, we begin with the headlines. Minister of Justice vows to arrest Jammeh when he returns. The International Court of Justice rules in favor of Gambia on Rohingya genocide. Jammeh's victims call the press conference calling him to justice. TRRC meets with Jammeh's victims on reparation regulations. Victims and survivors of Jammeh stage a protest. Minister of Finance and the United Nations on the global launch of the Decade of Action on Sustainable Development. Please stay with us for the news in detail. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Tambadou, has declared that the ex-Gambian President, Yahya Jammeh, will be immediately arrested and charged if he returns to the Gambia anytime. Jammeh was recently heard on a WhatsApp audio influencing his APRC interim leaders to mobilize the party's supporters to conduct a peaceful protest in demand for the United Nations and ECOWAS to implement the so-called agreement which facilitated his relinquish of power and leave the country for the sake of peace and stability. After a year of public hearings, and as we enter into the second and possibly the final year of hearings, it can no longer be ruled out that crimes against humanity have been committed in the Gambia between July 1994 and January 2017 on the former President Yahya Jammeh, and that those who will be identified by the TRRC will face certain persecutions in the most serious form. The International Court of Justice orders on January 23, 2020, directing Myanmar to prevent all genocidal acts against Rohingya Muslims is crucial for protecting the remaining Rohingya in Rakhine State. Human Rights Watch said, the court unanimously adopted a provisional measures that requires Myanmar to prevent genocide and take steps to preserve evidence. Myanmar's military committed extensive atrocities against the Rohingya, including murder, rape and arson, that peaked during its late 2017 campaign of ethnic cleansing, forcing more than 740,000 Rohingya to flee to Bangladesh in September 2019. The United Nations backed International Independent Fact-Finding Mission on Myanmar found that the 600,000 Rohingya remaining in Myanmar may face a greater threat of genocide than ever. The ICJ order to Myanmar to take concrete steps to prevent the genocide of the Rohingya is a landmark step to stop further atrocities against one of the world's most persecuted people. Concerned governments and UN bodies should now weigh in to ensure that the order is enforced as the genocide case moves forward. The Victim Center on Monday, 28 January 2020, held a press conference, strongly recommending that the government imposes a ban or suspend the APRC party until such time that the ongoing TRRC is concluded. The center, which provides a platform for victims of former President Yahya Jammeh, also sees the opportunity to inform all well-wishers of their peaceful march for justice, to pressurize the Gambian government to prosecute the former President Yahya Jammeh. Victims narrated some ordeals they underwent during Jammeh's regime. Block TV went there and they filed in this report.
One time, he come be fala, he quite haribi. Ali nyol na bante malala kumola, al banke alati. Niye minfo, yambulo ken, niye minfo. Definitely, you bring it to justice rally. Because you quite been told for until Kabiri wa uraro yen telebi. Dema fenka kote de osuto before so mo 12 o'clock. Sai, ye pia sinkol kana uli. Ikafoko waya jamien haja. I feel that. I can't tell more. You better tell me from down to Kiamanon. You better tell me that the book will have more befa. Still now, I call jamien and told us on the Roundup. Or now, told the Fala Barin. Now let's get told the Fala Barin the attack. Bila will let her. Not more than that.
So, Yamo men, Yamo Manyan Mela, Yajame Hania Black Kido Kono, Ya Fai, at a Gila Bani. Yajame Usman Sokoko, Yajame have so called betro power of attorney executive immunity 1997 constitution wala fenke ngol be nyanta falal no goy kayita bu kam mol Jakuba Kolifana, Molo mi alonko, ako untor ayeng atusko we are criminals. Am untor coming demand a clear battle. Am na party leader, amanke kombo political focus. Na party leader makalam. This madi jobate, ya atus la ko, itol lentol sponsor pour ngata siloka. Ntama madi jobate no, amaskati jane ngalone because 2012 kisato min print yen fenke nying ala koliko do je ka fa e matike jallo. Adin data fa sose. I don't know them. Eko wolentol sponsor nte nga deny nko no eko na pati li rabiye solo sendeng ya lon ka jite kle ya nyumblo la kati limbali ya ni tawla ya ko solo sende ya bute ya sok kuran la ya fena bamba dinka aka kente eten gio mangi so do mbad min dila ya sindi sumna ko na ninte no go njay na ra mbondi sumna ko no bamba dinka Ousmane Sonko kalwa ka fuko jammu hotelo mi je susu la le ke welcome ani nyinol dundo fu imposing bayo fel mando nata ko mo leko alkana nyi kino domo amam pete imposing anun dia atusi Ousmane amaskari diane ko wolentol sponsor to go out to the street solo sanda lim dañ kene ala tata alkiyam yentol fu rek nga amad ba to fu nga lo da to fu ngambang nga oje jalo to fu ngambang nga usen da to fu ngambang fatma tamba di temti ngamba wolente mbute I konto momo fata may no fona ye solo sande mbute sabanya fata wona inon na kumoti wassalam ya jamme alinkana alaway na bankoka I most was anyata justice president lambaro fana ko sino la kula wona ko ya dale ya kozi because of his brother Sekou Sabon former vice president woto victim center ki gere important ali nyi kuma di mal jobate mbe tentula mba jallo tentula mba press media be tentula ngol nyanta de tagle fom bu bankoka EPIAC bi e bo démocratie le enjoy kan kunu momo finte kemuta ambi kemuta leberol woto alimbe nga finti large number ngata ngane soldati itandi ko ya jamme hanana ta jang ay tara bulto ya samba maltu military confinement ya samba je bawo bamba dinka man sodo koten nada bamba dinka mongo nyanta samba la wol inon tela ko modin tara modin ngom
The TRRC on Friday met with Jambe's victim on the implementation of reparations regulations. Ending this session, Mrs. Adele Sose highlighted on the need for reparations as that will help ease the burden victims and victims' families had during the 22 years of Jambe's terror.
The country and the role of the victims and the CSOs in the implementation of reparations. We thank the ICTJ for accompanying us on this journey in so many ways to ensure a victim-centered process and outcome in the formulation and delivery of reparations measures. Since October 2019, ICTJ has been preparing the ground by holding bantabas for victims to contribute to the current programming being undertaken by the TRRC. Through a series of consultations conducted in the regions in partnership with the Victim Center and the TRRC. They have supported women's listening groups across the country, which has greatly resulted in the participation of women in the TRRC process. These listening circles have been documented in a report entitled Women's Experience of Dictatorship in the Gambia. This document was presented to the TRRC at a meeting which took place in December. In addition to this, I cannot count the number of one-to-one meetings that I have had with Didier, their country representative, to
Also speaking at the workshop is John Mendy, who talked on security reforms. Mr. Mendy also said Gambians should not allow to be dictated by donor communities.
Linkages between all the transitional justice processes. The reason why security sector reform is important is what the victims have always been saying, that the perpetrators are still in authority. And when you see that, then you ask yourself, has anything really changed? So part of security sector reform, constitutional review that is ongoing, is all to ensure that we don't go back. It's all to ensure that the never again that mantra becomes our reality. What do we think, or what do we think about the support that the donor community must give? One, the donor community must lend support in any way possible, must open their countries and their resources where we are constrained. For instance, like Turkey has done, to give and facilitate the process for medical attention for some of the victims. The donor community must not dictate to Gambia how we must go on with our reparations. We are sensible enough, we are matured enough to be able to handle things.
Victims and survivors of former President Yahya Jammeh staged a protest today in the form of a walk from Westfield to Alliance Franco. Survivors and victims from all over the country came together to participate in what they call the call to justice.
When do we want justice? When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Jammeh to justice. Jammeh to justice. Jammeh to justice. Jammeh to justice. Jammeh to justice.
Lawyer Usainu Dabo, who spoke as a victim, highlighted on the importance of this protest, the victims and their families. Block TV's Zainab Chob was there and she filed in this report.
To express, first of all, our, if I may call it, I'll call my dissatisfaction with the so-called demonstration for Jammeh to come back. After all, nobody has refused for Jammeh to come. He can come back to this country and then face the consequences of what he had done in the past 22 years, the atrocities he has committed. So I'm here as a victim to be in solidarity with my fellow victims, and we hope that today all those who have anything to do with the run of the affairs of this country will really treat the problems of the victims of the Jammeh atrocities with seriousness. The TRRC is doing a very good job, but I think really we should certainly see some very clear decisions taken with respect to some of the culprits who have confessed to commission of crimes. I think some decisions should really be taken with respect to them.
The daughter of the late Haruna Jammeh, who was believed to be massacred by Jammeh in 2005, also speak to Block TV.
Indirectly, because my dad is a direct victim who was enforced disappeared in 2005, and we confirmed that he was killed in 2013. And also during the TRC testimonies, we've seen alleged perpetrators testifying, saying they were involved in my dad's killing.
What importance will this day have for you?
Well, I think this is it's a national call. People's rights have been violated for the past 22 years, not just people who were killed or tortured or imprisoned illegally, but then Gambians as a whole were victims of the 22 years rule of Jammeh. So I think it's a good cause that everybody comes and shows solidarity to the victims to say Jammeh should be brought to justice with regards to all the crimes that he has committed, basically. So, yeah.
If you had to go face to face with the government, what will you tell them?
The government?
Yeah.
On so many occasions we've been having meetings and events with the government. I think the government they've taken steps. They've taken good steps by setting up all these commissions. The TRC is an effort to see that justice and reconciliation is done for the victims. So I believe I commend the government for setting up all these TJ processes, which is a good step. So it's obviously baby steps before we get to the final destination whereby victims will get justice for their loved ones. Yeah. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
The Minister of Finance and the United Nations marks the launch of the UN's Decade of Action 2020 to 2030. The program is geared towards sustainable development in an attempt to redress the socio-economic agreement between the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs and the Central Bank. Speaking at the press release, Ms. Sarafin Wakani, regional representative, congratulated the Gambia as being one of African countries decreasing rapidly in the level of poverty. Also speaking at the press conference is Mamburin Jai, the finance minister, who highlighted on the government's stand on attaining the sustainable development goals. Viewers, this is all we have for you in today's news roundup. Join us next week for another bulletin. Till then, have a great weekend.